считаю, что Maddalena самый сложный соперник в ислама-карьере. Это мое мнение. Ни Чарльз, никто. Ни один из этих бойцов. Я, например, буду готовить ислама против Илья или Maddalena, для меня больше будет волновать и волнует Maddalena.
Khabib Nurmagomedov has just revealed his thoughts on Islam Makhachev versus JDM, stating that JDM will be a much tougher opponent for Islam than Ilia Topuria. Moreover, Max Holloway also said people are underestimating Jack, even though he's one of the best fighters and ranked number 2 pound for pound for a reason. He said the fight might happen in October and believes it will be tough, smart, and exciting. Max warned not to sleep on Jack.
I think he'd be fine, man. I think he'd be good, you know, but people be sleeping on Jack, you know what I mean? And I think Jack is one of the best fighters in the world right now, and I think people is gonna find out when that match happens. I don't know. I'm hearing rumors maybe October. I think it's gonna be a fun fight, smart fight, but a lot of people counting out Jack for I don't know what reason. They just keep counting him out. Kind of reminds me of when I was like coming up and counting me out about certain fights. So I mean, he is, you know, he's the number 2 pound for pound in the world right now, but he's the number 2 pound for pound in the world for a reason. So you gotta respect that, but. You know, don't sleep on Jack. I think it's going to be a tough and fun fight.
Joaquin Buckley said that Islam is trying to move up to 170, but pointed out that JDM just went through a tough 5-round war with Belal Muhammad and might not make it to that fight. He added that JDM made it look like he had Canelo-level boxing skills.
You know, you talk to your brother Islam, you know what I'm saying? He trying to make them big moves up to 170. They trying to make that fight happen with him and JDM, but JDM just went through a whole 5-round war. I don't think my man gonna make it to that fight. He made Belal look like he really had.
However, Khabib said he believes Della Maddalena is the toughest opponent Islam Makhachev could face in his career. In his opinion, Maddalena is much bigger than Ilia, just as good, along with strong grappling. Khabib said that if he had to prepare Islam for a fight against Ilia or Maddalena, he would be more worried about Maddalena.
Считаю, что Maddalena самый сложный соперник в ислама-карьере. Это мое мнение. Ни Чарльз, никто. Ни один из этих бойцов...
И даже не Илья, если бы это бой был бы.
Ну, мое личное мнение, во-первых, Maddalena 2 раза больше, чем Илья.
Сопоставим.
Илья. Вот. Он 2 раза больше. Он выше, больше, ноги помощнее, корпус, бокс не хуже. И грэпплинг он возится очень хорошо, если вы смотрели. Ну, для меня, если я, например, буду готовить Ислама против... Илья или Maddalena, для меня больше будет волновать и волнует Maddalena.
Moreover, Gilbert Burns said Della Maddalena is one of the hardest hitters he's faced, even harder than Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. He said a simple jab from Jack felt powerful and surprising. Although he was able to wrestle and control Jack at times, Jack still landed a clean knee. Burns warned that Jack hits very hard and fighters need to watch out.
JDM is one of the guys that I fought that hits the hardest. And I fought Woodley for Hamza. That guy,
he could cry.
That guy gave me a little jab and then like, wow. God.
JDM and Belal Muhammad, you've been in there with both of them.
I was able to wrestle him, kind of control him a little bit. At the end, the guy did his thing. I ate a beautiful knee. You can feel it was not a stiff jab, it was just like pick and then poof. Wow, that guy hits hard. You gotta watch out with that.
Craig Jones said Jack has the best scrambling in MMA and believes he can beat Islam, especially with the size difference. He noted Islam struggled with Volk on the ground and thinks Jack will put him in tough spots. He questioned if Islam would return to fight Ilia after a loss.
How do you think the fight against Islam goes? I think it's a super difficult fight. Obviously, he's faced Volk twice, so the first one very competitive. And now he's facing a guy that's best scrambling ability, period, in all of MMA. I think that's what Belal struggled with. So I think the size difference is going to be quite a lot than people think. And we've seen how Volk did on the ground, how much Islam struggled with him. Jack beats Islam, puts Islam in a difficult position. Does he now go back down to fight Ilia after he loses?
Alexander Volkanovski said Della Maddalena's fight against Belal Muhammad was the perfect preparation for facing Islam Makhachev. He believes that stopping Belal's takedowns boosted Jack's confidence and proved his defensive skills have reached a new level. Volk thinks even elite grapplers will have trouble taking Jack down or holding him there.
Islam Makhachev is going to be fighting Della Maddalena. How do you think those two match up?
I think Jack's fight against Belal was a perfect fight for leading into that. Just purely, you take a lot out of stop and takedowns, because again, there's every fighter's still going to have little doubts that are going to creep in. You know, I'm sure Jack was going through that, being like, all right, like, you know, worried about, you know, what if he takes me down and all that. But the fact that he was able to stop it and feel so comfortable, I guarantee you he's leveled up again. His confidence in his takedowns has just went up significantly leading into this fight. I think his confidence is going to be at a whole nother level. So through camp, like, I guarantee you, if he's back in training right now, people trying to take him down are going to find it almost impossible. You know, only the top guys are going to have a chance of taking him down, and they're going to have a very hard time even holding him down.
Jorge Masvidal, on the other hand, leans toward Islam. While he praised Jack's striking and takedown defense, he said Islam's wrestling is on a different level. Jorge believes Jack will look better early with his hands, but Islam's pressure and grappling will take over later in the fight.
I've seen Islam, bro. He's a big guy. He's sucking out a lot of weight to get to 55. I think he might start doing better at 70. Problem is, though, Jack is special. We're gonna see just how special he is if he beats Islam. Jack, #1 pound for, wow, that's impressive, you know. I'm leaning towards Islam, brother.
Oh, really?
You know, but I really think it's gonna be a tough fight for him, but a great fight, man.
Jack was able to defend takedown attempts by Bilal.
Bilal has the best cardio in MMA, but Bilal doesn't have Islam's technique. Not same technique, not same. Very good, very aggressive. Bilal never stops a dog. Attack. But Islam is like smart, man. Boom. You know, Islam's level of wrestling is above. His stand-up game is improving. I don't think he could go stand-up in the beginning with Jack. Jack has way better hands, way better range, faster, stronger. But as the rounds go on later and later, he could do.
Ilia Topuria was recently asked about the matchup and Islam's move to welterweight, but he made it clear he doesn't care. Ilia said fighting isn't something that excites him or crosses his mind right now. However, when it came to offering advice, Ilia had a message for Jack that he should go after Islam's body with straight punches to slow him down and prevent takedown attempts. He said solid body shots can ruin a wrestler's game plan. Ilia also complimented Jack's stand-up game and said this approach could really give him a chance to win.
How do you think Islam Makhachev will do at 170 when he fights Jack Della Maddalena?
I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. I never thought about that, so I don't know.
Have any advice for Jack, who might be coming up against Islam Makhachev next?
The advice, like, he has to work the straight body shots, because that takes away the intentions of the takedown. If he works with the straight body shots, he's gonna stop his intentions of the takedowns. And he's doing a great job at the striking. I like how he fights.
Philip Rowe gave a strong vote of confidence to Jack Della Maddalena, saying he believes Jack would beat Islam. Rowe explained that Islam doesn't have the size to compete with the top welterweights, and Jack's power and ability to stand back up after takedowns would overwhelm him. He predicted Jack would eventually stop Islam before the fight goes the distance.
Philip Rowe, what's cracking, man?
Chillin'.
Hey, now listen, you're welterweight, you've been in the game a long time. Islam moving up to 170. Is he big enough for 170?
My personal opinion, I don't think he is, but he's a champ. We'll see when he's there. You know what I'm saying? He has a fight. He's fighting the champ. That's the best 170 in the world right now, right? So we'll see.
So you don't think he has the size, but how do you think he does in the fight versus JDM?
I personally think JDM beats him. I think JDM will be able to get up if he does take him down. I don't think he'll be able to take JDM shots. I think personally he'll stop Islam.
Dustin Poirier shared his perspective and said the fight depends on the opening rounds. If Islam succeeds in getting Jack to the mat early, he believes Islam could control the fight. But if Jack can avoid takedowns, Dustin said his powerful boxing and physical strength could create major problems for Islam. He also mentioned that although Islam's striking can look awkward, it's effective because opponents are always on guard for the takedown, which makes them hesitant.
Do you think he beats Jack Della Maddalena?
I think we'll find out first, second round how much trouble he has getting him down. I think if he gets those takedowns, he's gonna get the win. If Jack can stop those takedowns, which he does have good takedown defense, I think the boxing and the size could wear on Islam and give him some problems. But his striking's, awkward and different. You have to worry so much about the takedown. You can't plant your feet and throw off those number combinations and really rip and sit on your punches, because he's going to change levels. So it changes the way you fight. Well, for me, it did. I'm speaking from experience. So we'll see how Jack approaches and how Jack executes out there. But if you're worried about takedowns, you know, your shots are different. You're not sitting on everything and standing in front of the guy. You're trying to move and be light on your feet. I think the first 2 rounds will tell us how this fight's gonna go.
Charles Oliveira gave credit to Jack for being such a dangerous fighter, especially because of his patient approach. He said Jack doesn't rush knockouts, but wears his opponents down, just like he did against Belal. On the other hand, Oliveira believes Islam will still be strong at welterweight and can lean heavily on his grappling. He said the fight could come down to whether Jack can keep it standing or if Islam is able to dominate on the ground.
O que você acha que ganha entre o Jack Della Maddalena e o Islam?
Maddalena, ele é um jogo muito complicado, porque ele é um cara que ele não vem pra te nocautear rápido, ele vem pra te finalizar, ele vem te magoando, né?
Aos poucos, né?
Aos poucos. Foi o que ele fez agora na luta contra o Bilal. Só que eu acho que o Islam vai se dar muito bem nessa categoria, né, mano? Agora vai estar muito mais forte, é um jogo que, tipo, ele gosta de agarrar e botar pra baixo. Eu acho que o Jack Maddalena fazia a mesma luta que ele fez, né? Agora contra o Bilal, batendo, movimentando, saindo, machucando, é uma luta, mas se deixar o Islam agarrar e botar pra baixo é o time.
Robert Whittaker said it's hard to predict how Islam will perform in a higher weight class. Moving up, he said, brings new physical and tactical challenges. Despite this, Whittaker still trusts Islam's skill set and believes he's capable of doing everything Belal can, but at a higher level.
Definitely, but like I said, it is hard to try to get like an accurate gauge on what it's going to look like, not knowing how Islam is going to look when he moves up. Okay, it's always the question everybody asks when anybody is moving up a weight division or down a weight division, okay? There's so many unknowns involved. But saying that, I think that Islam can do everything that Belal does, but way better. Okay, way better.
Javier Mendez also weighed in, saying it's unclear if Jack would be Islam's toughest opponent yet. Still, he confirmed that Islam is all in for the challenge and is fully committed to the preparation. Mendez praised Islam's focus and elite abilities, calling him a different kind of fighter than anyone Jack has faced. He added that the higher weight suits Islam's body and expects him to be just as dominant in the new division.
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. You know, I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, you know, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, you know, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, you know, Islam's a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, you know, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, you know, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Mendez also warned that no one on their team is underestimating Jack. He said Jack's victory over Belal was hard-earned and showed just how dangerous he is. Mendez praised Belal's toughness and said Jack's ability to deal with that makes him a serious threat. He made it clear that Khabib and the whole team are preparing with full focus, knowing what Jack brings to the cage.
You know, if we as coaches think Jack is easier, we're stupid.
Yep.
We are very stupid. Then we didn't watch the Belal fight. Because Belal can take a hell of a shot. He can take a hell of a shot, and he took him. And he gave him 2. Belal gave him 2. So it was a war. That fight was a war. And you know what? For us to think it's an easy fight for us, you know, what kind of idiot coaches are we? Khabib's not an idiot, and neither am I. And neither is Magomed, neither is Saif Safullah and Muhammad, the other coaches that they work with Islam. We're not stupid.
Mendez further explained that Jack is a real problem because of his size and striking variety. He said Jack throws sharp kicks and punches that keep his opponents guessing. While Mendez called Ilia the more precise puncher, he said Jack has a more well-rounded striking game overall. He stressed that Islam can't afford a single mistake in this fight, as it will take perfect preparation to win.
We know what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a much bigger guy and just as dangerous, if not more dangerous in different variations. Not boxing, because I think Topuria's got the best boxing in the business. I still believe that. But Jack is well versed in the kicking and the arsenal, how he mixes it up. He's really good at head and body, leg, everything. He's really, really good at that. So we have our hands cut out for us. It's not an easy fight at all. If Islam by some miracle of a chance makes that fight to be like slam dunk, it's because we were properly prepared, or Jack wasn't as prepared, or Jack was injured, or Jack just got caught. But it's gonna be one of those fights. It's not easy. No way in hell is that fight gonna be easy. Very tough fight.
Navajo Sterling gave a bold prediction, saying Jack would dominate Islam in his welterweight title defense. He argued that Jack's size and knockout power would limit Islam's wrestling ability. Sterling also pointed out that if Jack wins, it would kill the hype for a future fight between Islam and Ilia. In his opinion, Islam is in for a tough night.
You picked JDM to win. Now he's got a big challenge in his first title defense against Islam. Do you think he's got what it takes to beat an Islam Makhachev in his first defense?
People are going to say it's a wild take, but I reckon JDM smokes Islam. Shins him so bad. It's going to be so bad that the Topuria Islam thing will just be gone.
So you think Islam's wrestling won't be a threat to JDM just because he's a lot bigger?
He's a lot bigger, and like when you watch JDM, like you put him on the end of mid-range, he's just going to throw. It's hard to like shoot in on. He's not going to be able to just abuse his size against him either. I think Islam's in for a rude awakening.
Dan Hardy called the matchup between Islam and Jack one of the most exciting fights possible right now, just behind John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. He's excited to see Islam move up and test himself, but raised concerns about whether the UFC will allow him to keep his lightweight belt, since they've recently moved away from allowing fighters to hold 2 titles at once. Hardy said that while Islam is dominant at 155, he's not sure that success will continue at 170. He also questioned how long Jack can hold onto the belt himself.
I thought he was very, very impressive. You know, it would be awesome to see Makhachev move up and fight him. You know, I did see that Makhachev said he's not gonna relinquish his lightweight belt. So I don't know how that's gonna fly with the UFC, because I think they're putting a stop on double champs now, aren't they? But it would be a fight I would love to see. You know, that's probably one of the best super fights you could make right now, aside from, you know, obviously John Jones against Tom Aspinall, which is the blockbuster. I think Della Maddalena's got a bright future. I don't know whether he's going to hold the belt, or, you know, he's going to lose it to another one of the top contenders and then pick it back up again. I don't think he's going to lose it to Makhachev, though. I think Makhachev holds the lightweight belt against anybody in the world, you know, on any day, you know, including Ilia Topuria. I don't think if he moved up, he would have much success against Makhachev. But Della Maddalena looked very, very sharp against Bilal. And I wonder what Makhachev would look like as a welterweight, you know, whether he would look as strong and as lean, or whether he would look heavier and, you know, potentially gas himself out, because he'd be stepping straight into a 5-round fight, wouldn't he?
Ian Gary said it's a difficult fight to call. He complimented Islam's complete fighting style, but said moving up 15 pounds changes everything. Gary mentioned Jack's size, his strong boxing, and his improving takedown defense as key strengths. Even though he sees those advantages, he still picks Islam as the slight favorite due to his top-level skill set.
Who do you think wins, Jack or Islam?
It's such a tough one to talk about. Islam is phenomenal. He's good everywhere. Size matters. When you're talking about an extra 15 pounds, when you look at the size of Volkanovski versus Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big size discrepancy. And Volk gave him a good fight. And then Dustin Poirier, it wasn't absolutely completely dominant by Islam. It was a tough fight. Size is going to play a huge part. Even on the ground, I feel like Jack could get it done with just some clean boxing and good takedown defense. But I can absolutely see Islam coming in and doing what Islam does and going out there and just looks like the phenomenal mixed martial artist he is.
Shael Sonnen raised the question of whether Islam Makhachev would remain at welterweight and try to earn another title shot if he loses to Jack Della Maddalena, or if he'd return to lightweight. He pointed to fighters like Ilia Topuria and Islam himself as examples, saying the desire to hold a championship is what drives them. Sonnen stressed that in MMA, nothing matters more than chasing the belt.
If he loses to Jack, does he get right back in the mix at 170? His way back to that title shot. Is that what he does, or is he way back down to 155 pounds? Was Ilia what he's going through now, what it is Islam in the announcement that we just got? What I'm attempting to prove to you is there is nothing in this sport that matters more to the fighters than the weight.
Renato Moicano said the fight between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena should be viewed as a 50-50 matchup. He recognized Islam's strong grappling and size at lightweight, but pointed out that stepping up to welterweight brings new difficulties. Moicano stressed that Islam would need time to add size and adapt to facing naturally bigger fighters, which makes the fight feel balanced.
So Islam versus JDM.
I think they probably should be even, you know, because even though Islam is a good grappler, he's big for 155. He's moving to 170. We never know, you know. I think he needs to take some time to work on to gain weight, to gain power, you know, to gain strength. So that's why the odds are even, and I think they should be even.
Jack Hermanson said it's hard to know how a fighter will perform after moving up in weight. He noted that Islam Makhachev looks nearly unbeatable at lightweight and might even be the best pound-for-pound fighter right now. While he's unsure if Islam can be just as dominant at welterweight, Hermanson still leans toward picking him. He also praised Della Maddalena's performance against Belal Muhammad, but said it's too early to tell exactly how good Jack is without seeing more fight.
Yeah, it's so hard because you never know when people are changing weight classes. But in lightweight, you know, Islam looks like unbeatable. It's just like maybe the pound for pound best. It's just so insanely good. But can he do it in a weight class above? I'm not sure. Really hard to predict a fight like that. I think I still have to say Islam.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, we need to see a few more fights with Jack. He looked amazing against Bilal, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about Islam is just so good.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this fight? What do you think about their matchup? We would love to hear your thoughts on this clash. So share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other latest videos on the screen right now.